Oh, did you guys hear that? Oh, it's being recorded. It's never said that before, so now we officially know. So let's grab all the props if you've got them. Blanket, strap, and 2 blocks. And for the blanket, we are gonna go ahead and roll it up in kind of like a squat little Tootsie Roll, and we'll lay over top of it. So make sure you roll your blanket nice and densely, not like a long skinny snake, but a short little Tootsie Roll. Now we'll get going. So once you take the time to roll it, and again, do your best to make it nice and compact, like you're trying to put a sleeping bag back in its bag. As much as you can. Roll, roll, roll. And then you're gonna put the roll not on your hip bones, not on your rib cage, but right on your lower belly, kind of right where your belly button is. So give yourself enough space to come right on top of it. And find a comfortable position, arms down, palms facing up. Maybe one side of your face to the floor because it's a little easier to breathe. And then even once you get on the roll, you might need to move a little forward or back because you want it to press up and in on all the good stuff in your belly, your organs. So once you're here, pull your fingers down a little farther towards your sides so there's more space for your neck. Close your eyes and take a nice relieving exhale. Just let your body hang. Let the roll start to meld up and in towards your belly. And just easily breathe into this space. Relaxing your jaw. And you'll notice your front body a little bit more as you breathe because it's down on the earth. Just working with your breath this morning, allowing it to help you soften into the shape and to let your belly soften down and into the roll. And notice if you need to make any adjustments, like where that roll actually is, if you need to take your feet wider apart, or if your kneecaps need some adjustment so they're more comfortable or anything. Take whatever you need. And then breathe out again. And now really concentrating and moving your breath to your lower back space. And as you feel your lower back expand as you inhale, you'll also feel your belly expand down towards the roll as you inhale because you're filling up. Go ahead and turn your face to the other side, towards your other ear, just to balance out your neck. We're here for a little while longer. Adding a little bit more length to each side of your breath, so to both the inhalation and the exhalation side. About 5 more breaths. And on your final exhale, let it be long, maybe a little loud. And very slowly, start to come up onto your forearms. So you still have the roll in the same space. You're just in a little bit more of a Sphinx pose. Yep. Maybe feeling your belly button, feeling your heartbeat in your belly button. Just a few more breaths here. A very slight pull of your elbows back, just a little opening in your chest. And then you're gonna lean off to the right side, so you can literally come onto your right hip. And you're gonna take the blanket roll, just unroll it, and then come into a half frog with your left leg. So make sure your inner knee, inner ankle are supported by the blanket. And then you can choose if you want a little bit more upright, you can be here in Sphinx pose. You can also just be a little more forward, but that might aggravate your lower back. So you can also just come straight down into this half frog. Yeah. And then just a few times, bring your knee up a little closer to your armpit and then a little farther down. So you're just kind of sliding your knee up and down. So just a little mobility in your hip, up and down. Maybe give it 2 more tries. Relax your jaw. And then you can choose where to land your knee. It can shoot straight out from your hip, or it can be up a little higher. Either one, whichever feels better on your hip socket right here. And if you are prone on your belly, make sure you support your forehead in some way. Find an easy position to breathe. Feeling the weight of your left hip down towards the ground. The weight of your whole left leg, bone and muscle. Even the weight of your skin. And take 2 more breaths here. Slowly start to come up just slightly. You're going to take this into a twist. So left arm forward, straight ahead, right arm threading underneath. And you're going to have to drag your knee in, roll onto your right hip, and roll all the way to come into a spinal twist. Yeah. So you're just trying to get your shoulders to the floor. My knee is nowhere near the floor. It doesn't have to be staying on the floor. Nice long exhale. Open and close your jaw a few times. Good. Now everybody bring your left knee a little closer up towards your chest. See if you can take your right hand to the baby toe side of your left foot. Yeah. And then just very slowly start to walk your foot out, straightening your left leg any amount. So you're still in the spinal twist, but you're just adding a little bit of that outer seam length. So all the way from your outer left hip right? Typically we think IT band, but there's something else called I think it's called your TFL, another area that gets really tight on the side of the hip all the way down to your leg. And you still want to keep the twist. Good, one more breath in. Nice full breath out. You can let go of your foot. You can even manually take a hold of your calf to bend your knee to help you. Roll all the way onto your back, and then take your left knee out into a tree pose on your spine. So you're coming back to the socket of your hip. Move your shoulder blades down, tops of your shoulders away from your ears. It feels like that same wiggling sensation as when you go into bridge. Then let your hands come onto your front rib cage. Just to encourage it to stay a little down towards the ground so you're not popping your ribs up. Good, breathe in. Breathe out. One more. Start to bring your left knee up towards the ceiling. Hug your left knee up and in towards your armpit. Give it a nice good squeeze. And then you're going to let this knee and a little bit of momentum pull you all the way up to sit. So you're going to press your shin forward. Whoop. Yep, you can use your straight leg. Good. Cross your ankles. And now we're going to do that whole same thing on the other side. So you can come up and over for your right leg. And this way it might be a little bit easier for you because your head's just facing the other direction if you need to see the screen. So you're going to come into half frog on your right side. Right, so just make it a full circle. Bring yourself down. And then we do want to find that nice little bit of freeing movement so you can slide your knee up, slide your leg down. Slide your knee up. Right? It's just to get a little bit of warmth in your hip socket, gently around the muscles of your hips, all the tissue up in there. And then when you feel like you know that sweet spot for you to get just enough release, maybe your knees a little higher or a little lower, settle in there. But a lot of the focus of this pose is to let the density of your hip socket, right, the top of your thigh bone, the muscles around your hips, the weight of your thigh bone all the way down to your ankle, slowly drop towards the floor. And you can always tuck your left toes under and take your left leg a little wider so the fronts of your hips get just a little closer to the floor, but you don't have to. So in this half frog shape, enjoying your breath all the way down to your lower back and hips. A handful more breaths. Again, working on adding just a little bit more to each side of your inhale and exhale. Take your time to come up slightly onto your elbows, left arm out in front. Right arm out in front, just kidding. Left arm threading underneath, and then drag your whole leg back, roll onto your left hip, spinal twist. But if you feel your arm is basically just hanging, it's nowhere near the ground, bring it way far down. You can even bend your elbow to let your shoulder relax, because I don't want you to just have your arm hanging out in space. Your arm bones and shoulder, it's only connected like 30% anyway, so we don't need to try to disconnect it anymore. Start to bring your knee up a little bit towards your armpit. You can put your foot on the ground, left hand to the baby toe side of your foot. Nice slow extension work. Yeah, into the side of your thigh, your hip, all the goodies there. Right? Just take a moment to notice or recognize the physical sensation of a stretch. Right? Just feels kind of different. It feels good, but it also feels slightly uncomfortable. It feels lengthening, but at times you can feel resistant towards it, so that's why we breathe. Last 2 rounds here. Start to release your foot, bend your knee, and you can literally hold the inside of your calf to help. Roll and wiggle all the way onto your back to come into Supta Vrikshasana, reclining tree. Right knee out to the side. Oh yay. Happy dogs joining in yoga. Breathing in and out to your right hip again. Noticing your shoulders, maybe find that slight addition of your shoulder blades towards each other on your upper middle back. Hands on your front ribs. Back body relaxing towards the ground. Last 2 breaths. Take your hand to your outer thigh, right knee up. Keep your right knee bent and just add your left knee as well. Now, you're welcome to grab your block. We're going to go for the front of the hips, hip flexors. So you can come into supported bridge, second highest height, or if you want to go right into more activity, active bridge, sans block. Just find a bridge that's going to work for you. And you can start on the lowest height with the block. You can go no block, second highest height. You can, if you feel ready for it, it's going to add a little bit more release and opening into the front of your hips. Go to the highest height with the block. But just make sure it's not on your lower spine, that it's more towards your tailbone, but also not right on your tailbone. And if you're going active bridge, use your glutes, use your feet. Press, press, press. 5 breaths. And let your eyes direct down towards your belly for a second. Just watch it rise and fall as you breathe. And then no matter where you're at, if you've got the block, go ahead and lift, move it away, come into active bridge, interlacing your fingers or holding the outer edges of your mat. Using your glutes to release your hip flexors. Feel free to take your feet a little wider or slightly point your toes and knees wide out to the side. Breathe, everybody. Good. Last breath in. Exhale, release your arms slowly, roll your way down. This you can use as a core center exercise as you easily roll all the way down. Good. Windshield wiper your knees, right and left. One more thing on our back. It's called the eagle sprinkler legs. So as you start to bring your knees back up, you're going to lift them. You'll pretend like you're going into eagle, and you basically will, right thigh over left. And then you do want to take your legs out into like a wide upavista, and then switch left thigh over right. So you're going to take it, and the wide part is what's going to help your hips, and then you're going to cross. So try to go inhale, upavista, exhale, garudasana, eagle legs. Like a sprinkler, just going back and forth. Keep your lower back on the ground, shoulders on the ground, that ledge of your skull on the ground. Move your feet around a little bit. And this does take some muscle energy as well, so feel free to take a break anytime. Good job. Really try to bend your knees on the next few. Let your heels come a little closer down towards the ground. And if it feels too wide, or if you're getting clicks, like if you hear clicks in your body, as long as they don't hurt, they're not going to hurt you, but you might need to take less of a V, more of like a pizza slice to do this in. Because sometimes we can overstretch things. One more time, each leg. Nice. And then you'll let your left leg go long, hug your right knee up and in towards your chest, just like we did on the other side. And use the press of your right foot. See if you can not lift your left leg as you roll up. So you're just pressing forward, yeah. And then come up and over, hip circle time. If you're on tile like I am, you might want to use your blanket right underneath your knees. Wide child's pose, and we're going to go right into it. So you're going to let your hips go back, up and over to the left, back, up and over to the right. Smiley face back with your hips, side to side. Make sure the fronts of your knees are comfortable. Start with untouched toes and root the top of your foots. That's a new one, the foots. Root them into the floor, so a little front ankle length. Let your toenails press down. And then if you want to start to take it 3/4, all that means is your hips just come a little forward and back. So it's almost like you're coming into a mini plank with wide knees and back. You can go farther forward than that, but just notice if that feels like the right choice for your body. More is not necessarily better. You can start to switch directions. And you don't have to stay with the same circle side to side. Sometimes it's nice to just rock right and left, forward, middle, or back. Kind of like you're zigzagging forward and back. Just take a few more. Move it all around. And then when you're ready, find your tabletop and one block. Right foot up between your hands and set yourself into a really good low runner's lunge block on the outside of your right hip. Right hand down, left arm up and over, reaching to the side. Letting both your shoulders descend down. Good. And I want you to think all the way from your left pinky finger to your left armpit, front of your left hip, down to the side of your left hip. Feeling all of that. Good. Inhale, come up, exhale. Just a small half splits. Nothing massive or dramatic, just a little one. Toes up. So you're right on your heel, even slightly on your Achilles. And we're going to do that again. Low runner's lunge, front of your left hip. Left arm up and over, leaning to the side. Try not to put a lot of weight in your right hand, everybody. It's just really there for a very light amount of support. Inhale, come up. Now both arms reach. Try to stretch up and out of your own hips. Exhale, bend your elbows, open your chest. Press your elbows back. Good. Interlace your fingers behind you. Keep stretching and opening into your chest. Thumbs a little closer towards your behind. One more breath in. And then exhale, release your hands. Now, hopefully it's not too far, your second block. Feel free to break the pose softly and slowly without twerking your knee. And you're gonna keep your back toes untucked. Take a little peek back at your foot. Try to have your toes point straight back. This does not need to be a big lift. You're gonna press into the top of your foot and lift your back knee. You do have to get slightly more reliant on your arms. That's okay. And then exhale, knee down. Nice. Again, with the toenails down, inhale, lift up. Exhale, down. Woo. One more time, relax your shoulders. Inhale up. Get a little bit more heavy in your right foot. So the front foot. Good. Exhale down. Now take a slight twist. So you're just going to put your right hand on your right thigh. Little twist over to the right side. You can stay leaning forward. Just keep your spine nice and happy. And then inhale, slowly release. Second visit, mini half splits. Not the main focus, but we don't want to neglect the hamstrings because they will let you know when they are not happy. Good. Slowly see if you can bring your hands to your hips, root into your toenails, and you're going to step your right foot in, bring your right knee down. Yep. Again, try not to use your hands. You're going to lean a little over to the right side. Step your left foot up. Step it, step it, step it. You don't have to get rid of the right block, but you can move it. So you just have the left block to the side. Low lunge, left side. Right on the outside of your hip. And then right arm up and over. Just like we did on the first side. And then taking notice all the way from your right pinky fingernail to your right elbow, right armpit, the front of your right hip, and also the side of your right hip. Use an inhale, come up, straight to center. Use your belly as you shift back into that mini half splits. You can let your right arm come down, left toes go up, and then elongate your neck a little more, everybody. Yes. Good. Inhale, come back into low Anjaneyasana. Right arm up and over. Your left hand is on the block. And don't forget, you can always take your hand into a fist, and it'll extend and lengthen your arm. And we're not trying to go for the deepest side bend or anything like that. It's more to feel the expanse on your right side rather than to excessively compress your left side. As you come up, both arms reach up towards the sky. Exhale, cactus your arms, continuing to open into your chest. Interlace your fingers with the funny grip, opposite thumb, opposite index finger as you normally do. Hands down towards your bum. Lift up and squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then take a quick look at your left knee. Make sure it's somewhere in the middle of your foot, somewhere towards the middle toe. Good, and then slowly release your arms. Find both your blocks forward. So when you lean, your hands and blocks are right under your shoulders. Right toes tucked up. We've got 3 times. Inhale up. Exhale down. And if you think your toes are sickled, physically look at them. Try to have them point straight back as you lift up and come down. Try to keep your left knee right in the middle of your foot 1 to 2 more times, just depending on your breath pace. And then after you've taken that last one, walk your hips back, maybe add your blocks. Second half split, so you're right on your heel, moving towards your Achilles. And again, we're going for length, we're not going for overstretching. Breath in, exhale. And as you walk it forward, take that journey, tuck your back toes, lift. You're gonna walk around, wide-legged forward fold with your buddies, the blocks. And then a super wide downward facing dog. And you can use the blocks. So you're gonna walk your hands out, keep your feet wide, and do your best to keep your ears in between your biceps. Yeah. And if you want to angle your feet in a little bit, opening up the seam of your lower spine, your SI joint, feel free. Couple more breaths. You can always bring your blocks in a little bit. If it feels better, you can come all the way into a half lift. You got it, everybody. Start to walk your blocks in, halfway lift and wide legs. Bring your heels in once, toes out, and just keep your hands on the blocks, but just let your hips descend a little bit. So you're coming into this horse, goddess, star squat, and it's 87,000 names. And then you're gonna take it back out into a wide-legged forward fold. So pivoting your heels out. And this is still a little hip work. Heels in, dropping down with your glutes, spine long. And then take your time, toes in, ankles slightly out. Yeah, one more time. Heels in, drop your bum down, and then up and out. Got it. Yeah, now walk yourself around towards your right foot. Keep your buddies the blocks. Come into a runner's lunge position, hands on the blocks. And I want you to squeeze your inner thighs together so your hips might lift. So we're towards the right foot. Good. You're gonna let your hands lift up off the blocks, just a touch. So you're using a little inner thigh hip energy, and then hands down. So inhale up, exhale down. Do that a few more times, because it's good to get all the space into our hip sockets and all those muscles, but we also need the strength. Take one more, and it's just a little lift off the blocks. Good, straighten your front leg, come back onto your heel and your Achilles, point your left hip down. Good, yeah, so both your legs are straight, everyone's got it. Nice, bend your front knee. Now put your blocks on the lowest heights. You're gonna bring your right foot towards your left hip bone in a plank pose. Your right foot towards your left hip bone. Yep, in a plank pose, breathe. Exhale, step back, high plank. Good. And then downward dog. Hands on the blocks. You can always ditch them. You guys know that. But you also know I'm obsessed with blocks, so we're going to use them. Move your head and neck around. First downward dog, about halfway into practice. And just see how it feels. Bend your knees more. I'm seeing some really straight legs, which isn't bad. But remember, downward dog's not about your hamstrings completely, it's about your spine. There we go. Shift forward just enough so you can step your left foot up between the blocks. Come into that runner's lunge position, bringing your blocks back up onto the highest heights. And this is where you're using hip strength, so you're hugging up and in, enough so your hands can levitate off the blocks. And then down. So feeling everything elevate and lift, and then hands down. Try and keep your knee right in the center. Hands down, 3 more times. Nice, and you don't have to pick your torso up a ton, just a little bit. Good, on your last one, hands down, find length in your front leg. I know it's hard to see, I'll move the block, so you're flexing your foot so you're on your heel, and then pointing your right hip down towards the ground. Yeah, so you get into that, again, that outer seam, literally, if you were like wearing a pair of jeans, it's the seam right on the outside of your left leg. That's kind of where, where you quote unquote should feel it. If you feel it somewhere else, that's okay too, as long as it's not painful. Good, come back into the runner's lunge, blocks on the lowest height. So you're basically almost in a plank pose. Your front foot is just in the front. And then you're gonna press into your arms, take your left foot towards your right hip. Got it? Step it back. Exhale, downward dog. Bend your knees. Notice if your chin is really tucked into your chest. You want to try to have, again, your ears between your biceps, between your upper arms. Exhale, knees down. Toes tucked, sit back for a moment. On your heels, and you can have as much of a gap between your bum and your heels as you need. Shoulders down. Jaw relaxed. Feel free to move your neck. And then slowly come forward, untuck your toes, pitter patter. Good, come onto your shins. You're just gonna take one, not camel. You're just gonna pull your arms into cactus. Pull your belly towards your back. And really feel about the bottom tips of your shoulder blades moving down towards your lower spine. You can move your elbows down to do this. Good, inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to the block. Upward facing dog, but we're gonna hold it for a while. So my suggestion would be with the blocks, upward facing dog, because I'm gonna show you guys this from the front. It's a little hard to see. Let me walk onto the tile so you can see it. So you literally dip one hip down and look back for your opposite heel. So you're in an upward dog, but you're letting one hip dip and looking the other way, and you will feel it pretty intensely right in your hip flexor. Yeah. And just maybe do it 1 or 2 times each side, because this does put some pressure at your wrists. Good, then put your knees down, come slowly back into a tabletop. Use your belly muscles to do that. And then we're gonna do it again. So make sure as you come into this upward dog, your knees are off the ground. Shift a little, right hip can dip down, look for your left heel. Left hip can dip down, look for your right heel. And then knees down. It's just like going into downward dog. You pull your belly up and in, tabletop. Now, that's a lot on your wrists, so let's ditch the blocks for a second. Turn any rings to the side, so you're not right on the top. You're gonna bring your hands into fists and just hold a stationary upward dog on your knuckles. Yeah, chin parallel to the floor, no hip dip here. And then same thing, knees down, belly to back as you go into tabletop. It's just way less aggressive on your lower spine. Then knuckles right under your shoulders, hips shift left, look back for your right heel. This probably feels very familiar. And then hips right, look left. We do this a lot in tabletop, but we also just did it in upward dog. So side to side hip work. And then take it into a barrel roll. So add cat and cow into it. Remember, you're in charge of what kind of jar or barrel you're in. Scraping all the edges. And you can soften your elbows here as you do this. They don't need to be stick straight. Switch directions. Breathe into it. Couple more breaths. And then eventually working your way into puppy pose. Super wide arms. Chest down towards the ground. Doesn't need to touch. And again, aiming for your ears to be between your upper arms. And even here, your belly a little bit in towards your back. So you're not trying to get a huge lower back scoop. You're trying to get more of a 45-degree angle all the way from your low back to the back of your skull. Start to walk your hands in from tabletop or to tabletop, and then exhale, downward dog, no blocks. Unless you really want them, they're always there. Pressing down and forward with your hands. Walk your feet halfway to your hands, and your hands back towards your feet. So they meet in the middle. Halfway up, and we're gonna hold for a good maybe 30 seconds. You can have your hands on your knees or your elbows. And just work again, your belly towards your back so you're not in a huge cow or in a cat position, that you're in that tabletop spine. Yeah, nice, everybody. Tuck your chin. You don't have to look at the screen. Also notice, because you guys have been practicing online for a while, if you ever feel weird in your neck the next day, it's probably because you've turned your head to one side to watch the screen the whole time. So if you notice you do that, you might want to take a second to turn your head to the other side. I do it too when I teach because I want to watch you too. And then the next day I'm like, oh, why does the one side of my neck feel funny? You're just staring at the computer all weird. 3 more breaths. Keep pressing down through your feet. And then hands to your hips, press to your feet, slowly come up to stand. Press your hips forward a little bit, squeeze your glutes. And then shake out your legs. So we're gonna do a little standing, balancing, but one leg is gonna be moving. So if you wanna find something to steady your hand on, you can. Start with your right leg forward. You're gonna do a little swing back to release your hip flexor, a little swing forward for your hamstring. So you're just gonna start taking your leg, and it can be slightly swift. I also, for some weird reason, like to swing my opposite arm forward. It makes me feel more balanced. That might work for you. Slight activity in your right ankle. Again, you're just freeing up your hip in a different way. And you'll feel a little squeeze of your glute as you take your leg back. And that squeeze of your glute releases your hip flexor. Nice. See if you can stay tall in your torso. Tiniest baby bend in your left knee. For 3, 2, breathing. And then let your legs start to slow down. 1. All the way till your foot comes to the floor, and just take a pausing moment and mountain. Notice how you still might kind of feel that swinging action on your right side. Almost feels like that swaying motion when you're on a boat. And then hands to your hips, eyes open. Left leg's gonna move, right leg's gonna stabilize, and start with a smaller range first. Eyes in one spot, just like you would take in any standing balance. So you can move for your hip flexor and your hamstring. Nice. Good ankle activity. You're also going to feel activity happening in your standing ankle because it's helping stabilize you. Just make sure you're not turning your bottom knee or ankle any funny direction. It should stay straight ahead. Notice if you want to swing your arms, you're welcome to do that. Just try not to topple over. Just for a few more. For 3, 2, and 1. Let it slow down. Again, right into mountain. Hopefully you don't feel seasick from that, but you might feel that little bit of undulating, swinging motion still settling in your body. Inhale, lift all 10 toes up. So you do feel a little bit more grounded, less of that motion. You should feel the pulling up of your arch in your ankle. See if you can feel your thigh muscles, your quads a little more active. Hug your glutes towards one another. Shoulder blades a little closer together. Top of your head a little taller. Open your eyes, inhale, sweep your arms out and up. Exhale, come into a half lifted position. Again, either elbows on your thighs, hands anywhere on your legs, but tabletop in your back. Good, slight tuck of your chin. Good, straight down at your toes. Next, exhale, downward dog. Only 2/3 of your mat, everybody, not 3/4. Big toes together. Inhale, high plank. And this is going to be an outer hip stretch. You're going to come into side plank on the baby toe side of your right foot, either your right hand or your right elbow, as you step your left foot in front. And then you're literally going to rainbow your hips up. You should feel it right here in your outer left hip. You can take your left arm over. Again, if this is really bothering your wrists, there's nothing wrong with wiggling your right foot back, coming onto your elbow, and feel that lift from the top and the bottom hip is lifting up. Now, take it slow. Bring your right hip all the way to the ground. All the way to the ground. You might need to take that pit stop at your elbow. Now you're going to come onto your right hand and lift up. Yep. Drop your right shoulder down. Should still feel it on the outside of your left hip. And now the right side of your rib cage. Good, you're gonna slowly turn back towards the top. You're not gonna go through that plank, but you should turn more into a lunge. Toes forward, like a dragon lunge with your hands on the inside. Yep. And then step it back into your plank position to go to the other side. So baby toe side of your left foot. Step your right foot in front. Do it so you guys can see. Hand or elbow. Elevate both hips and get that nice little subtle arch. But you should, where I want you to feel it is your outer right hip. That's a really strong press in your right foot. Lift, 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 just a hair more. Exhale, take your time, outer left hip down. Take your time, support yourself with your hands so you can come up. Stretching the left, kind of like flank side of your body, and still a little bit in your outer right hip. Shoulders down. Yep, breathe in and breathe out. Just a different way to work your hips. One more breath in And exhale. Now, very slowly, and if your back is to the screen and you want to see, you might want to swivel around. You're going to lift all the way back up and come into cow face pose. Doesn't matter which leg is on top, because we're going to do both. I want you to manually pick up your top knee. Manually take your bottom knee more towards the center, and then you can let your top knee come down. Now, if this is just not an option for you today, simple cross-legged is great. Hands on your knees, sit up nice and tall, right? And you might already feel it right on the outer edges of your hips. You might not need to lean forward at all, especially if you know you tend to get the computer, the car posture. Maybe just work on sitting straight up today. You can take a slight lean forward, but notice if it's not necessary to intensify it because it's already intense. Good. Think about tall posture, shoulder blades back, deep exhale. 2 more breaths. Good, then as you inhale, come up, lean back, use your hands to support you, and just do a little sprinkler switch. Boop, boop. And then use your hands, because sometimes that's safer than just trying to, right, like wiggle things around and then something pulls. So you lift your top knee, you take your bottom knee a little bit more to center. Notice how my foot wiggles to the side to do that. And then you set knee on knee. And you're gonna feel it more, right? If you walk your shins parallel to the front, kind of like you would in a pigeon, you're gonna feel it more. But if you need to feel it less, heels in towards your hips. And sit up tall, shoulders back. This might be the spot for you. You might need the lean on this side. And then ever so slightly bring your chin 1/2 inch in towards your chest. You can close your eyes, you can keep them open, and breathe. Move your jaw, your face, your nose, your eyebrows. Maybe you need to lean, maybe you need to back out of the lean to find your tall, kind of regal-esque posture. 2 more breaths. Good. Lean back so you have the support of your hands to unwind your legs, give them a little shake out. You can do a little windshield wiper, little movement. And then we're going to move back onto our belly. So grab your your blanket. Like we started with the half frog pose, we're going to take it into water bug. So just move your legs off to the side. Nice cushy blanket. Let's start left leg. So you basically come into that half frog position. I like to make sure my inner ankle, inner knee are on that cushion, because otherwise those joints feel kind of bony just down on the mat. So it's half frog to start, and then you walk your torso over towards your left knee. So you're doing that extension on the right side of your body and a little bit of compression on the left side. It's called water bug. Make a little pillow with your hands, let your head come down. And it shouldn't be it's not an extreme crunching action to the side. It's just a little bit of a lean. Over towards the side. Try to be a little bit more passive in your left thigh and your muscles. And a little bit more breath oriented into your right rib cage. The literal tissue of your right lung. And if you need to bring your left knee up a little higher or move it down a little lower, adjust it. And if you want to walk a little farther over to that left side, you can. So your left elbow gets just a hair closer. It can touch your left knee, doesn't have to. 2 more breaths. Third inhale, torso, elbows, crawl it to center, right? And it's called water bug because if you ever watch a water bug on the surface of the water, they kind of do this like side to side action. So that's where this comes from. You're gonna lean and press over to your right side. Move your blanket so you have that cushion over. And then take your time, lean to one side, to your left side, pick up your right knee. And if I told you the wrong leg, just do the other side, as you guys know. Start in the half frog position. Walk, walk, walk. Water bug crawl over towards your right knee. Right elbow towards your right knee. And then maybe your head needs to turn the other way to balance out your neck. And breathe. Start to release physical muscular effort. Think about this more as a yin passive posture, because it is. Notice if you need to make any adjustments. If you need to totally let your body feel weighted towards the ground. And if you have any desire to lean a little bit more right, go for it. If you have a desire to lean less to the right, go for it. Still letting that slight dropping sensation happen in your right hip. Last few breaths. Big inhale. Nice long exhale. Start to crawl it back to center. Lean to the left. Take your leg off of that position, and then we're actually going to take Shavasana on our belly today. So if you want to use your blanket, if you want to find that spot, if you're like, no, I don't want Shavasana on my belly, don't do it. Do what you need to do. If you'd rather be on your side or you want to go onto your back. But sometimes it's nice to just rest a little differently. You can take it more into forearm stack, forehead down for your neck, or one forearm. Just find a comfortable resting place. Let all your breath go. Just feel like your body is resting farther and farther into the floor. And take a nice full breath in. Exhale out. It's a little shorter Shavasana today, so if you need to stay on your belly, you have the time, stay here. Or start to bring your hands underneath your armpits, forehead to the floor. Take a slow journey back to a momentary child's pose. And working your way into a comfortable seat, or again, resting on your belly continuously. Either one is good. Letting your hands come to your heart, spine tall. We're going to take one inhale and exhale. And then the last second exhale, you'll just take a little hum to yourself. Breathe in. Exhale out. Inhale. Feel that nice settling nature in your mind. That spaciousness you've made in your body over the past hour. And just a little kudos to yourself for the dedication you continue to have to your yoga practice. Let your head bow to your heart. You take one more exhale. Release your hands. Open your eyes. Yay! Thank you guys again. A couple things. Let me think. Julie is leading the Zoom meditation on Sunday at 7 p.m. So if you don't have that link or like lost in an email message or text either one of us, we can send you that. So it's just 30-minute meditation with Julie on Zoom. I'm still teaching my Monday class at 4 on Memorial Day, but then starting in June, Susan, you'll be real happy about this. I'm gonna shift it to 5:45 p.m. because I know the 4 o'clock is really hard for everyone to get to. So 4 o'clock this coming Monday, Memorial Day, but 5:45 from then on. And then on the solstice, which is June 21st, happens to be a Monday, so my class will be a little longer and it'll be 108 sun salutations in the park. It'll be great. And Julie is thinking about adding a second outdoor class. So we'll send an email out. If you guys haven't been getting those emails and you have Gmail, check your promotions folder. They've been hiding in there. So thanks everybody. Have a fun Memorial weekend. Hope you get to do something fun. Yeah.